Hello and welcome to Lesson 3, Be Honest. Quote, I just love it when my husband lies to me. Every time I catch him on a lie, it makes me feel loved and cared for. It makes me feel safe and secure. I really appreciate the way my husband lies to me. End quote. Said no wife ever, right? Said no wife ever. Dear ladies, it beggars belief that I need to include a chapter in this book entitled Be Honest. But the sad fact is that I have to. If you go and read profiles of women on dating sites, you will read that in nearly every single one of those dating profiles, women say they want an honest man who does not play games. If you doubt me, please go and have a look at places like Match.com and Plenty of Fish, etc., and see what the women say they want. They all want men to be honest, nearly every one of them. The golden rule is, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And yet women lying to men is common. Wives lying to husbands is quite common. Indeed, women openly brag to each other about how they manage to lie to their husbands and how they have managed to manipulate their husbands to their own desires, often using sex as the weapon of choice, but often using other weapons of choice as well, such as children. It beggars belief that women openly brag about how they lie to men and the men put up with it, and yet then turn around and demand that men be honest with them. It really does beg a belief that women imagine that lying to men is how to make a good wife of themselves. But they do. When I was a small boy, 3 or 4 or so, I must have been, my mother taught me that honesty is the best policy. My mother had some rules for trying to be honest as little boys, for trying to be dishonest as little boys who want to do. You know, what little boy has not taken a cookie from the cookie jar without asking his mother's permission first, really? Such little boys do not exist. We all steal a cookie from the cookie jar, or steal an apple from the fruit basket, or whatever it is we steal to eat when we are hungry and do not want to wait until our next meal. It is normal for small boys to steal food when they are hungry, right? In our house, the rules were quite simple. Even a 3-year-old could understand them, right? If a 3-year-old can understand the rules, they've got to be pretty simple rules. The rules were, if you do something wrong and you come to me, meaning mother, and admit it, you'll be punished for doing the wrong thing, but praised for admitting it like a man. That's what our mother did. She said, if you do something wrong and I find out about it before you admit your wrongdoing, you will get double the punishment you would have gotten if you had admitted your wrongdoing. And lastly, she told us, if you do something wrong and I find out about it before you admit your wrongdoing, and then you try to lie to me to get out of the punishment, you will get 4 times the punishment that you would have gotten if you had admitted your wrongdoing. That was my mother's way of doing things, right? Now, like all small boys, I tried lying to my mother a few times, and she kept her word. The spankings I got for trying to lie were 4 times the amount of the times I simply admitted what I did wrong. She made sure of that, and she was very clear about that, right? And also, if I admitted what I'd done wrong, I would get a kiss and a cuddle from my mother for being a real man when I would admit my wrongdoings. So you could see what she was trying to do. She's trying to teach me honesty is the best policy. Being honest, even if I did something wrong, got a kiss and a cuddle, mother's attention, mother's love, mother's affection, which little boys crave, right? We like that. So by the time I was 5, I had made up my mind that it just did not seem worth trying to lie to my mother. She had me totally convinced she could read my mind and knew when I was lying. So whenever I did something that I knew was wrong, I would just go to her and admit it and take my punishment like a man. Sadly, the mothers of the little girls did not teach their daughters the same thing. It seems that mothers of the little girls taught their daughters that lying to boys was okay and therefore lying to men was okay. I often ask women why it is that they taught their daughters to be dishonest and attempt to get what they want through lies and deceit and manipulation, rather than just asking and accepting the result of the request. They seem totally bemused even to be asked the question. It is like, but women have to lie to men to get what they want. If we just asked, we might be told no, and that's not okay by us. Yes, I'm not kidding. Women have actually said that to me. On a men's forum in 2008, a woman asked me a question to the effect, I do not get it. Women have lists as long as your arm as to what they want from a man. They have very high expectations of men. And yet men have very low expectations of women. Why is it that men have such low expectations of women? She asked me. And I replied with words to the effect, women cannot even make it to the level of honest. How can we have any expectations of a person who openly says that they will not be honest with you? Really? And she got it. If a woman will openly say no in answer to the question, will you be honest with me please, then how can you possibly hope that they will do anything else useful for you? Western women are quite simply dishonest. They are not trustworthy. Notice the word worthy. They openly support perjury in the 99.9% plus majority, and then they demand that you must trust women and say things like, not trusting women is misogyny. That is what women say. Western women say, in the 99.9% plus majority, that lying under oath is perfectly okay for a woman, and you say that not trusting women is a sign that you hate all women. I cannot make this up. This is true. These are the facts about Western women. I can assure you, dear reader or listener, that openly supporting perjury, saying that it is okay for women to lie under oath, make you very unattractive to quality men. Quality men do not want women who openly support and condone women lying, let alone lying under oath. It does not have to be that way. It is perfectly possible for a woman to be honest. When I first started dating Sue one of the things I told her was this. I said, one thing that Jennifer did to me that was not acceptable to me was to lie to my face. I do not accept my wife lying to me, especially to my face. If you ever lie to me, I will leave you then and there. I want you to be very clear that lying to me is not acceptable to me, okay? I said that to her, exactly like that. She nodded in agreement and promised to always be honest with me. She lived up to this agreement even when it did not present her in a favourable light. I will give you an example of how honest she was with her miracle baby story. In 2010, we were having the discussion about what might be possible in the future for us. She had decided that I was good enough for her to marry, and I had decided that she was a good prospective wife 2.0. We were stuck on the question of children. I did not want more children, and she did. We knew this right from the start, but she was trying to change my mind, and I was trying to change her mind, as people do. One day we were talking, and she was a bit absent-minded. She was thinking over telling me something, and she was distracted about that, and I could see so clearly. So I waited for her to decide for herself as to whether she was going to tell me what was on her mind. Eventually she turned very serious and said, I have something I need to tell you. And I said, sure, I was listening. And the conversation went like this. Sue 1. When we are married, if I change my mind and decide I want a baby, we can have a miracle baby. And when she said miracle, she waved her hands in the air and put a big smile on her face like it was a good thing. She changed from serious to presenting herself as happy in an instant. She was good like that. And I said, really? A miracle baby? What's that? I don't know what you mean by that. And she said, this is where I go and get a baby from another man, and I tell you that it's your baby, and it's a miracle. And again, when she said the word miracle, she overemphasized it and waved her arms in a gesture that made it out to be a good thing. I responded with, that's really interesting, but Don't you think that I might be a little bit upset about that? At this point she became deadly serious again, and she even reached out and put her left arm on my right shoulder. I can remember it well. And she said, "Peter, if you do not want to pay for any baby a woman has, you must not marry her." I was shocked at what she had said to me. I really was taken very aback. And I said, "Really? I've never heard that before. Do you think other women think like this?" And she said, "All us women think like this, but I am honest." And when she said honest, she emphasized it hard and smiled at me, one of her sweet smiles. She knew exactly what she was doing. I was so surprised at what she had said to me that over the next few months, I talked to other women I knew from Eastern Europe and asked them what the general opinion was among women about cuckolding men with another man's baby. All of them told me that this was seen as perfectly acceptable among women, but that they keep that opinion to themselves because they know that to talk about it openly in front of the men really upsets the men. They all told me that they know men really do not like to be cuckolded by their wives, but that many women do it anyway, and they keep quiet about it. Tom Likas, a famous men's radio presenter in the USA, has even run shows for women to call in and talk about how they have cuckolded men, and almost 2-1, the women who do this show no concern and no remorse towards the men. So, my dear reader or listener, the fact that women openly support and condone lying to men, up to and including cuckolding them with another man's child, makes you very unattractive to quality men. It beggars belief that women imagine that men are attracted to women who support cuckolding. It really does. As I said at the top of this chapter, it beggars my belief that I need to put a chapter in this book called Be Honest. It beggars my belief that women do not know that being honest is very attractive in a woman to a quality man. If you want to be a good wife, be honest. I cannot put it more simply than that. Also, denounce and socially ostracize women who you know are dishonest, so that men can avoid them, just like men have denounced men who are dishonest so women can avoid them. If you choose to be dishonest, you are agreeing that your husband can be dishonest with you. You do not get to be dishonest with him and expect him to be honest with you. Okay? Now, I would really like to know how many of you decided on hearing this advice you will actually choose to be honest people now. Thank you very much for listening to this chapter.